I know last week my husband was speaking about being surrounded by the right people. And how do we know we're surrounded by the right people? It's people that is going to encourage us. They're going to push us. They're going to call us out because they care. They're going to do all these things to help us get to our purpose that God has for us, right? So today I want to talk about something, and I named it Reboot. And you're probably like, what? Why Reboot? But God was putting in my heart. And I was thinking about what my husband was speaking about last week about, being surrounded by the right people and all of that good stuff. And I was thinking, okay, when we surround ourselves with the right people, we're getting on track, right? So in the midst of us getting on track with getting with the right people, with the right crowd, we need to make sure that we're awake and dreaming. So I titled it Reboot the Dreams. And that's what I want to talk to you tonight. I want to talk to you about what are you dreaming? Are you even dreaming? Are you awake? What are we doing? Let me ask you something. Is there something that is calling you out? Is there something that is driving you? Is there something that is pushing you? Or are you one of the people that you just go with the flow? So is there something calling you out? Or is there something pushing you? Or are you just one of those that you say, you know what? I usually don't really do much. I just do whatever everybody else does. I just go with the flow. I do whatever happens on that day, whatever I feel like doing. Don't answer me. This is just a question that I want you to answer yourself. Don't type it in. I don't want to know the answer. This is just for you. So just think about it. What kind of person are you? But think about this too. God's dreams, most of them calls us out to go against the flow. So if you're saying, you know what, I'm the person that I like to go with the flow, God, his dreams usually tell us to go the opposite way. He tells us, no, I don't want you to go with the crowd. I don't want you to go with the flow. I want you to go the other way, the opposite of the crowd, towards something that seems dangerous places. And I don't mean like scary or anything like that. What I mean by the dangerous places is places of the unknown, places that we're not comfortable, right? So it's not about going with the crowd. It's about the opposite. Those are the dreams that God is going to take us to. So when we dream, it prepares a path for us. And for the future, it helps us by giving us faith. When we don't dream, it's like we have no vision. We can't see where we're going, so we get stuck where we are. And because we get stuck where we are, then we can't go to the places that God intended us to be or to go. And we can't dream because we can't see. It's like, have you ever been asked, I'm not sure if it's a game or what, but it just came to my mind. Have you ever been asked by someone of, you know what, close your eyes and you're going to trust me and I'm going to tell you where to go. You just have to follow the sound of my voice. Have you ever been asked that? I can't remember if I have or not, but just think about this. This is saying, you know what, when we don't dream, we don't have vision, so we can't see. Our eyes are closed. And we don't know where we're going. So think about this. You have your eyes closed, right? And someone tells you, just trust me. I'm going to tell you where to go. I'm going to tell you turn right, turn left. If you're going to have to jump, go up or down. But you can do two things. You can be the person that chooses to trust in that person that's telling you. Or you can be the other person that you say, you know what, I can't see. I don't know if I can trust that person that's telling me the directions of what I should do, where I should go. And I'm just going to stay here. So because we can't see, you can be one of the two persons. You can say, you know what, I'm going to trust. You know what, I may not be able to see, but I'm going to trust that person. I'm going to trust that voice that's speaking to me and giving me those directions. Or you can be the other person that says, you know what, I don't know if I can trust what you're telling me. How do I know it's right that you're telling me? How do I know if I'm going the right way? How do I know I'm going in the right direction, right? And it's the same thing with God. God sometimes tells us, you know what, trust me. I'm going to tell you where I want you to go. I'm going to give you this dream, but you have to trust me on the directions that I'm going to give you. And sometimes it's going to be uncomfortable. Most of the time, it's going to be something that we're not going to want to do. It's going to be something out of the ordinary, but we have to trust God. And it's the same thing with this analogy that I was using. He has so much in store for us, but we're so blinded by everything that this world literally bombards us by every day. So it blinds us and we're not able to see. And this is the sad part, is when we're so bombarded with social media, with the world, with everything that is just being thrown at us, we can either put that aside, or we can be the other person that just stays stuck and they're not dreaming and they don't have vision because the word is bombarding them. They don't even know what to believe. They don't even know who they are. They're just going with the flow. They're just doing things as it comes. So they start getting stuck in their place. And it can be for weeks. It can be for months. It can even be for years. But if we're going to live the life to which God is calling us, we need a reboot. We need to reboot our dreams. We need those dreams to come to life again. We need to see visions and dream dreams of what God can do in and through us. Let's go to the book of Job. It's going to be Job. I'm going to go to chapter 10. It's going to be verse 8 through verse 9. And I'm going to use a few other verses as well, so I might be back and forth a little bit, but just stay with me, bear with me. Job 10, 8 through 9, the NIV version says this: Your hands shaped me and made me. Will you now turn and destroy me? Verse 9, remember that you molded me like clay. Will you now turn me to dust again? How many have actually seen the art of the pottery? It's beautiful, the pottery, right? It's beautiful. But have you ever noticed something different about that art? Have you noticed anything different? And when I was researching this, because I don't really know much about pottery, I just know that, you make it with your hands and it's beautiful because you start shaping into the form that you want. You start forming it into what you want and you start creating something unique. Something unique is always going to come out of it. And so I was researching and I thought this was really interesting. It says potters don't mass produce identical items. They create unique work of art. And it's true. If you go and you Google search potteries, arts of potteries, or, anything with pottery, you're not going to find anything that looks about the same. They're not going to be identical because everything is unique. What they do is a unique work of art. And it's the same thing with God. He created you. He created me. And we weren't supposed to be like anybody else. We're supposed to just be us. So God designed you to be you. And that's the art of it. That's the beauty of it. We don't have to try to be like anybody else. We don't have to try to be like this world. We don't have to try to be like our friends. We don't have to try to be like, the trend of the society of telling us, no, you have to do this. You have to look this way. It's okay to be like this. No, God created us unique. He created you to be you. He created me to be me. And that's the beauty of it. That's the art of it. So I'm going to share a few steps with you guys on how to reboot the dreams. So the first step to rebooting our dreams is examine God's design. And that design will be the key to God's dream. So it's the same thing with the pottery. God designed us. So go ahead and take a look at yourself. God designed you. And what God designs is beauty. It's beautiful. It's unique. And so are you. He designed you. So He knows you. So the step one will be examine God's design. And that design will be the key to God's dream. Okay, second step. Bear with me, guys. Embrace God's desires. You're like, but what do you mean by embrace God's desires? Go with me to the book of Matthew. We're going to be in Matthew chapter 5, verse 6. And I'm going to be reading off the NIV version. So go with me to Matthew 5, verse 6. And it says like this: Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Listen to that. Matthew 5 through 6. NIV says, Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Now let's change the version and let's listen to the translation of the Message. I really like how the Message translates it. It says like this: You're blessed when you have worked up a good appetite for God, His food and drink, and the best meal you'll ever eat. Listen to that. You're blessed when you have worked up a good appetite for God, His food and drink, and the best meal you'll ever eat. Do you have an appetite for God? Ask yourself that question. Do you have an appetite for God? Do you have an appetite for God's things? Do you have an appetite for His presence? Do you have an appetite to spend time with Him on one-on-one? Do you have an appetite for God? When we have the desire and the appetite for God, that means we're going to seek Him more. We're going to make time for Him. We're going to enjoy every moment and every opportunity that comes to us. Anything that has to do with God, we're going to enjoy it. And that's when we know if we truly have that appetite for God. It's not that, you know what, you say, I do have the appetite for God, but you open your Bible every once in a while. And I know we have our phones and our tablets and, that's understandable. But do you actually have the appetite for God? What are you doing for God? What are you doing in the private? Because God can see everything that we're doing. What are we doing? Is it honoring Him? Is it glorifying Him? What are we doing? That's going to lead us to if we actually have the appetite for God and the things of God. When we have the desire, we seek Him. We get lost in His presence. We enjoy any moment with Him, as I was saying earlier. And as we seek Him, we seek our happiness in God. He forms and fulfills our deepest desires. Go with me to Psalms 37, chapter 37, verse 4. And this is going to be the NIV version. I'm going to keep going back and forth, guys, with the versions. But it's because I like how the translation is. And it is going to help us understand a little bit better what I'm trying to say to you guys tonight. So Psalms 37, 4. The NIV version says, Take delight in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. We've heard this verse so many times over and over again. But listen to what the Message says. And this one couldn't have said it any better. And I like this translation a lot better. It says, Get insurance with God and do a good deed. Settle down and stick to your last. Keep company with God. Get in on the best. Let me read that again. Get insurance with God and do a good deed. Settle down. Stick to your last. Keep company with God and get in on the best. That's Psalms 37, 3, verse 3 through 4. There's nothing better that we would ever get that can compare to God. He is the insurance. He died for us on the cross. He gave His life for us. There's nothing better, much, much better that we can get or we will ever find than that. That is our insurance. And listen, as we live into God's dreams, He starts to shape our desires so that His desires become our desires. The only way that our desires are going to be God's desires is our appetite for God. And that's going to be in our searching for God, in our intimacy with God. And as we go deeper in God, He's going to start to stir our desires to be His desires, and His dreams. He's going to become our dreams. But we have to seek Him. And it has to be a constant thing. It has to come from your appetite. How hungry are you for the Word of God? How hungry are you for His presence? How hungry are you to go deeper in His Word with Him, in your relationship with Him? That's going to come from your appetite of God. And that's when His desires will become your own desires. You're going to want to do things that you're like, wait, that was not me. And it's okay. That's God. That's what God does. He works in mysterious ways, and you're like, but I don't know. It's okay. When you work an appetite up for God, His desires are going to become your own desires, and His dreams are going to be your dreams. That's step 2. So step 3, and I hope you guys are getting this. I promise you, it's not just for you. He was speaking to me as well. Everything, don't think that just because we come and we speak, it's not speaking to us, or we're just telling you guys. No, I promise you, everything that me and my husband speak, we go through it first, and then we have the privilege to share with you guys what we're going through. But if you say, step 3, setting good godly goals. And you're like, what do you mean by good godly goals? It's a good thing to have good goals. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to have good goals, but there's a difference between good goals and good godly goals. God's dream is the end result, the final destination. That's where we want to get to, right? We want to get to God's dreams. We want, that should be our desire, for His dreams to be our dreams, right? So in order to arrive there, we need to set goals that are aligned with God's purpose. And that's the difference between having good goals, that you can have good goals in your personal life, but the difference with the good godly goals is these goals are the ones that are lined up with God's purpose and what He has for you. Let's look at the book of Psalms, chapter 90, verse 12. And this one, we're just going to look at the Message version. So if you guys want to go ahead and go with me to Psalms 90:12, it reads like this. Oh, teach us to live well. Teach us to live wisely and well. Let me read that again. It says, oh, teach us to live well. Teach us to live wisely and well. So not only to teach us to live well, but to live wisely well. What does that mean? Setting goals ultimately comes down to how are we using our time? Are we using our time wisely? Are we wasting our time? What are we doing with our time? Right? Setting goals, it's hard to set goals, right? It's hard because you're like, okay, I have so many things stored. I have so many things in my mind. This is what I want to do. This is what I have planned for myself. And you start making, okay, this goal, yes, this goal, no. You start looking at the pros and cons and everything of the goals, right? But we have to make sure that we go through with those goals, right? And we're using our time wisely. So that way when you're like, okay, this is the time frame that I have set for this goal, making sure that we're using our time wisely, so that way we can make sure that we're actually completing those good godly goals that we have set for ourselves. And listen, if at the beginning you said that you were the person that usually go with the flow and you want to change that, or you want to avoid it, the only way, guys, the only way that we can avoid that will be putting goals and using your time wisely. I can't stress that enough. If you said, you know what, usually I just go with the flow because I don't really know what to do or what I want to do. I just let other people decide for me, or I let my friends tell me what to do. Whatever the case may be, if you say I'm the person that I just go with the flow just because I don't want to make decisions and I don't want anything to fall on me, the only way that we can avoid that is by setting those good godly goals and using our time wisely. Using our time wisely. It's very important. When we have those kind of goals, it would align us with God's desires and His dreams and His purpose, and we become connected with our Father. So when we're using our time wisely and we're seeking of God, and our desires are becoming His desires and His dreams are becoming our dreams, then we're aligning ourselves with our Father. That means that we're becoming one. We're connected with Him. And there's nothing better than being connected with the Father, because He loves us and His mercy's there every day. There's nothing better than to wake up in the morning and be able to feel His love and thank Him because He allowed you to wake up another day. So you see what I'm saying? We have to make sure that we're using our time wisely and setting those good godly goals to be able to get to God's purposes for our lives. Okay, one more step. The final step that I want to share with you guys today is, let's review really quickly before I hit the last step for you guys. So the first one was examine God's design. So what I mean, examine yourself. Look at yourself. If you want to do pros and cons, if you want to do your personalities, your character, whatever it may be, examine yourself. God designed you. And number 2 is embrace God's desires. And step number 3 is setting good godly goals. Again, that's what we were just talking about. How are you spending your time? Are you using it wisely, or are you just wasting your time? And the 4th one is enjoy life. Yes, guys, you can enjoy life. God did not put us here for us to be so miserable and so sad and let's throw a pity party because so-and-so's happened to me. And no, that's not why God put us here. We can still enjoy life through our tribulations, through our troubles, through our situations, through our issues. We can still enjoy life because they don't define who we are. It's something that we go through in the moment, but that doesn't define us. It's just in that moment. Christ is the one that defines us. So again, enjoy life. He didn't put us here to be miserable. No. But if we align our lives with God's dream, it's the best way to assure we experience the abundance of life that comes with Christ. But there's always a but. But if we go with the flow, we do our own thing and continue the rebellion, then we will reap the results, which is exactly what the thief wants. But let tonight be the night that you say, you know what, it's been a while since I've even thought about my own dreams, let alone the dreams that God has for me. I haven't got that far. But you're saying, you know what, I want to change that. I want to dream of what God has for me, for my family, what God has for my future. You know, if you're saying, you know what, maybe I should start thinking about these things. Maybe I should write them down. That would be a great idea. If you write down your dreams and then just start thinking more of God, right? I know it's something of you're saying that you don't about your dreams or anything like that. Just remember, write your dreams down. And you're saying, but maybe, you know what? It doesn't make sense. Why would this be my dream? Sometimes God gives us dreams. And like I said, as we seek more of God, as we go into more of His presence, as we deeper into Him, His desires are going to be our desires and His dreams are going to be our dreams. And we're going to want to go. Our desire is going to want to be to go after those desires and after those dreams. So my question to you again tonight is, what are you dreaming? Are you even dreaming? Are you awake? That's the important question, is, are we awake? So I spoke about 2 different people. I spoke about the people that just go with the flow. And I asked you another question about, what are you dreaming? Or are you even dreaming? I want you to, if from everything that I spoke tonight, I want you to remember this. God's dreams are always going to be better than our own dreams. Remember that. God's dreams are always going to be better than our dreams. Nothing of our dreams can compare to God's, right? In the Bible, it says that His thoughts are not our thoughts and His ways are not our ways. So His dreams are always going to be bigger and better than what we could have ever imagined for ourselves. So as I go ahead and finish with the sermon tonight, I want you guys to think about it. I want you guys to write down your dreams. I want you to write down your desires. And as you seek more of God, keep writing them down, because they're going to change. Because He's going to start putting His dreams in you. And you're going to start maybe waking up in the middle of the night. Or you're going to start getting more appetite, more hungry for His word. And you're going to be reading the Bible more. You're going to be talking to more people about Christ and exposing yourself in that way. But remember, God's dreams are always better than our own dreams.